Welcome back to Journalist Roundtable. I'm your host and moderator, Kent Davy. I'm joined by fellow journalists Alison St of KPBS and Logan Jenkins of UT San Diego. We're now joined by San Diego County Board of Supervisors Vice Chairman Dave Roberts, and here to talk about the new legislation to limit campaign election spending and other topics. Alison.
Okay, well, since Kent kicked us off with the campaign spending, you voted in favor of limiting campaign spending for the supervisors, and I know for a fact that there are some very angry people out there now who would like to actually replace some people on the supervisors on the board because of that one vote. Why did you think it was so important?
Well, my colleague, Supervisor Ron Roberts from the 4th District, brought forward this proposal. And many people were concerned about the amount of money coming into elections. And, you know, the Supreme Court had made changes, and one of the loopholes were that people can put money through political parties to get them into campaigns. And it's a way to skirt the county finance rules. And so the proposal that was brought forward, that was supported 4-1 and passed, said that you have to limit these contributions. And so some of the complaints we heard was what was the right level for the thresholds. And so the city of San Diego had done this, and the mayor of San Diego supported it, and we set our levels slightly higher because we have larger jurisdictions. And so our levels are $25,000 for individual supervisor races and $50,000 for other county elected officials that are elected county-wise. I felt it was the right thing to do. I thought that you should have something that could flow that way, but I thought that having it overall too much really corrupted the whole process, and it just wasn't open and transparent.
Do you agree with the basic premise that the reason that the Republican Party flew into such high dudgeon was because they wanted to capture some of the money that Joel Anderson had, and to be able to use that money, flow it through the party, and challenge Diane Jacob? Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Well, again, each political party can do their own thing. I know they've since...
Right, but the Democrats weren't protesting.
Right.
It was just the Republicans, and they were crazy.
We believe in the Democratic Party that you should follow the rules, have fair campaigns, set reasonable limits. Currently, the limit in the county is $750 per person for a primary and $750 for a general election. Those are the rules. That's what you have to play by. I know recently an elected official that had run for a county office said, I don't like the county rules. And I said, the rules are the rules. Either you play by the rules or you go play somewhere else. And, you know, for me, when I ran, the limit was $500. They've since changed. It's indexed based on elections, so it's gone up $250 per person. Whether that was the reason or not, I don't know. I actually did talk to the chairman of the Republican Party and the general counsel. They told me that one of their concerns was the level of the contribution, and so I did ask Supervisor Ron Roberts to go back and look, because originally the proposal was $10.25 or $10.20, and he went back and made it $25.50, which we felt was fair. He talked to the county council. The county council told the board that they thought, based on the size of our district compared, we're about 4 times the size of a city council district, but there's only 5 of us and there's 9 of them. So we thought this was a fair limit. Why they were so opposed, I'm not quite sure why. I guess you're going to have to ask them.
I know why.
Well, I mean, you are the first Democrat to be elected to the board in 20 years. And now the Republican Party is really hoping to get to replace even the Republicans with more Republican people. Are you afraid that this move might spark a shift to the right because of the reaction of the Republican Party?
Well, I have to tell you, you know, I'm a nonpartisan elected official. We all have our party registration, but fortunately in California at the county level and below, you're all nonpartisan. The 5 of us on the Board of Supervisors work well together. My assessment is that most people do not like partisan politics. They want people that can work across party lines to make improvements, and that's what I've tried to do the last 3 years on the Board of Supervisors. So I think this is kind of like inside politics or inside baseball. Most people want fair and open elections. They want transparency. They want to know where the money's coming from. Many people are quite anxious to see where this $200,000 came that has flowed into an opponent to Supervisor Diane Jacob. So, you know, people are questioning, where has that money come from? Eventually it will have to be disclosed through finance rules, but right now nobody knows.
If you had instantaneous disclosure rules or 24-hour disclosure rules for both contributions as well as expenditures, would that alleviate the need to cap?
I am not sure. You know, again, running for office, races, countywide races have gotten very expensive. You know, in our race, it was approaching $1 million. I was the first new elected supervisor in 18 years in San Diego County. Many people are waking up to the fact that these supervisor jobs are really important positions that control a lot of quality of life, public safety, public health, the environment. And so you've seen 2 members of Congress recently run to be a county supervisor up north of us. You've seen the Secretary of Labor in the Obama administration give that up, become a county supervisor. So there's 296 of us in California that are county supervisors. We represent 38 million people. But people are waking up to the fact that these are really great jobs. And I believe, in what my sense is in my district, is most people could care less about party registration. What they care is, what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do for them? And are you willing to cut through this nonsense, this partisan nonsense? We see it in Sacramento. We see it in Washington, D.C. And fortunately, right now at the county, we have not seen it, but we've tried to set fair rules for everybody to play by.
I wonder if I can shift gears a little bit. We just learned that the county has skin in the game as far as the Charger Stadium goes. $250,000, I think, to match the $500,000 or the $250,000 from the city of San Diego for consultants and so forth. What does that mean exactly, and how far would you be willing to go to keep the Chargers in San Diego?
So coming up at our board, we're going to be voting on this proposal that has been put forth by Supervisor Ron Roberts and Supervisor Diane Jacob. Back in 2006, when my predecessor, Pam Slater-Price, was there, the board voted to set up a subcommittee of 2 supervisors to work with the city on this issue. But they also said no money can be spent on a stadium without a countywide vote of the people. So no taxpayer funds can be involved in this. What we're going to be doing at our upcoming board meeting is re-looking at that memorandum of understanding with the city. And the only change that is being made to it is the proposal to authorize the staff at the county to utilize up to $250,000 to hire national experts to make sure we help negotiate a great deal for the taxpayers of San Diego County. I am comfortable looking at this proposal. I'm looking forward to seeing the details before we meet to vote on it. But my goal all along has been, we've got to promote economic development in San Diego County, but we have to protect the taxpayers. And so working with the city is a good thing. I'm all about collaboration. I've developed a great relationship with the mayor of San Diego, and we're working on a number of initiatives together. So I think this is heading in the right direction. And again, seeing that this funding is to hire national consultants that can help negotiate a deal, working with the city collaboratively, I think it's good for the entire county.
Would you be open to a bridge loan, for example? I know that's been floated.
I would not be supportive of a bridge loan.
Interesting. Okay.
But you would entertain the possibility of taxpayer funds going into a project if the payoff was good enough?
The only way I would support taxpayer money going into a stadium is if the voters voted to utilize taxpayer funding. Right now, the board has a prohibition on that, and I support the 2006 board prohibition on any taxpayer money going into a stadium.
But philosophically, should stadiums be public projects?
You know, each community has to make that decision. I have begun having conversations with people about this. You know, this has not been one of my priority areas. I have focused on mental health and kids and the environment, things that the voters told me were important to them. You know, I think that having a baseball team is important, having a football team. Recently, Mike D gave me a great tour of Petco Park with a few members of the Economic Development Corporation that I serve on their board. And he told me their owners are investing $80 million million of their private money in this city-owned Petco park. And I tweeted, and almost nobody picked up on it, how great to see private investors investing their money in facilities that serve the public good.
A different kind of investment that I don't think you're not so keen on would be the One Paseo development. And can you tell us a little bit about what that is and why we up here would care?
So I support quality growth, quality development. And in this case, in Carmel Valley, we had a developer come in and overpay for a piece of property and ask to have 4 times zoning on that property. The community went ballistic. And so they compromised and said, okay, we're going to put 3 times zoning on that property. I think doing spot zoning is wrong. The city has actually created a one-of-a-kind special zoning just for that piece of property. And I try to tell people this would be like somebody coming and buying the house next to you, overpaying for it, and then saying, I'm going to triple the size of it because I have the right to do that. I think that's wrong, and anybody in this county should be concerned at what the city has done in this case, because this now can be done anywhere in the city of San Diego.
So it is the precedent that bothers you as opposed to the actual impact of the development itself?
Well, I think this, which I have spent years studying this particular proposal, this is going to affect public safety, this is going to affect transportation, it's going to put 24,000 additional car trips on that street, which is already clogged every day. The city gets basically nothing out of it. The city has to pay for the enhancements. I don't see any quality of life enhancements. I have tried to say we need to sit down and look at a great development. Just look slightly north at Flower Hill Mall, which was a very controversial project. That developer sat down with the neighborhood, which was City of San Diego, City of Solana Beach, and City of Del Mar. They came out with a great project that everybody likes, and that's what developers should do in San Diego County.
How do you explain the City Council voting 7-2 in favor?
You will have to ask them. I was totally perplexed by the vote. I think for whatever reason in this case they truly got this wrong. I have great concerns, as I've told people. You know, if you live in Scripps Ranch and Tierra Santa and you see council members that voted for this and you're concerned, you know, 3 times zoning that can be bad for public safety, be bad for transportation, parks, libraries, I would be very, very concerned.
So if you lived in the city of San Diego, you would have signed the petition for a referendum.
I would have. I kicked off the petition drive. I encouraged people. You know, we got over 60,000 votes. The county is the one looking at the votes and looking at the rescission list to see how they match up. I am hoping that we can take this now to the vote of the people. Polls tell us that the people that understand the issue are adamantly opposed to anybody coming in and doing spot zoning in their neighborhood.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting because the people who are signing the petitions are all south of One Paseo, but if you had people north of One Paseo in North County, they would all be signing because the traffic is just going to be awful on 5. But of course, it's the city that has the control of that. And
well, the traffic already is awful on 5. I just
spent
shared 92 minutes to go from one point to the second point, and you know we've got to make these improvements, and we've got to do them sensibly. We've got to look out for the environment, but we can't cripple the economy, and that's what I've been trying to propose we do.
If I could just transition from that, because we all know that growth has to happen somewhere, and I think that's one reason why the other city council members voted. They'd rather see it in someone else's district than in theirs. But you know, you're with the county, and the county has the unincorporated areas. So you know, we have these huge developments being proposed very soon. I think up 15, Lilac Hills and Newlands, and I'm not sure whether you have already. Are you open to what the developers are proposing up there, which again is much, much more houses than was in the general plan that was only just redone?
Well, the way the process works is developers make proposals to the county, and once they do, that cuts off any communications a member of the board of supervisors can have with the developer. We haven't even seen the proposals yet, and that probably will be a year, 2 years out before we even see a proposal for any of these developments. And back when the general plan was passed prior to my joining the board, One of the things that was added at the last minute was that said no leapfrog development, and you have to use a standard called LEED, L-E-E-D, N-D, neighborhood development. The trouble is LEED ND doesn't apply to the rural area. And so the county now is trying to define what did that mean when it was passed by the people that were there, you know, 3 years ago. And so this is something, and I've been trying to talk to people saying we really need to figure out what this means, because development can happen and will happen. And of course you have to remember the governor just announced year 4 of a drought. We've got to cut back our water supply 25%. We've got to be able to balance these decisions. So with new development, do you allow yards to go in? You know, what's it going to do to our water supply in the various areas? So these are complicated decisions, and that's why you need to make sure you get the right people in office that can help make these decisions.
So I have been hearing from people that there's a risk that the county will be changing the way that it limits leapfrog development. Do you think that's true?
I don't think it's going to limit it. I think the county's going to try to define what that means, because right now I don't think it's clear what it means. And I agree, and I think all 5 of us on the board agree, we need to define what that term meant when it was passed.
I know you're a big interest in economic development. Can you speculate of what this latest set of mandatory water conservation measures announced by the governor, and the fact that we're in the 4th year of this drought, is going to do to economic development here, and particularly North County and its biotech and its water, those industries that need water?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that the County Board of Supervisors has nothing to do with San Diego County Water Authority.
I understand that.
I get the 1 seat on the County Water Authority as a supervisor, however, I don't get a vote. Supervisor Leon Williams got that passed 20-some years ago. That seat was always supposed to get the vote. They never did. So I get to go there and talk. I have been so impressed with the way our San Diego County Water Authority over the last multiple decades has made strategic investments to diversify our water supply here. We've raised San Vicente Dam. We're building the desal plant right down the street here. You know, we're doing a lot of things in place to make sure that we have a dependable supply of water. We've lined canals to save stuff. So there's still a lot more that I think we can do. And one of the big things I've been promoting is the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program. We ourselves took out 6,400 square feet of grass around our house. We're saving 265,000 gallons of drinking water every year. If we can get other people to stop wasting water, that would be great.
Is it fair that we should cut back 25% when we've done such a great job of diversifying, potable reuse, desal? I mean, don't you think we should just let everybody else kind of suffer out there and keep watering?
I think we're all in this together. We're fortunate that years ago, decades ago, people were looking forward to have water imported here. I think there are many ways that we can do this already, not having water just sitting at restaurants. You got to ask for it, you know, which is
take a quarter of this water back.
Which is now the law. But I think there's a lot of things. I mean, getting rid of grass yards is a great way to save water. You know, looking at types of agriculture. Just yesterday I toured Go Green in Encinitas. They use just water, no dirt, no nothing. For every acre they do it, they're saving 20 acres of land, and it's all recycled. The water is reused in this. So there's really creative things that I think we can do to cut our water usage.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
For taking your time out of the day, joining us this evening. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after these messages.